Just stand here. Oh, you hold it. Free speech, but he's gonna hold the mic for me, okay?
You can get.
Unless you want to.
I mean, see, you see how silly you're coming in. You're coming in ready to fight.
Interesting that he's holding the mic.
All right, why don't you give her the mic? Let's.
Yeah, why don't you pass me the mic?
Big win, big win. Okay.
I was serious about the suit, by the way. So, you don't believe hate speech exists.
No.
And you...
The Supreme Court agrees with me, by the way.
Great. You and the rest of the people who are here with you, or who are supposed to be here with you, claim that people have a victimhood complex and that anything regarding racism or sexism or whatever ism it is that we're talking about is fake news, and everybody is just out here wanting to be a victim, as if that's something, you know, that people, you know, I wake up every morning and I say, wow, how can I be a victim despite Dave Rubin or Charlie Kirk? So I just want to understand, I just want to understand.
Yeah.
What does it take for, you know, folks on your end of the aisle to understand that people have lived experiences and who wake up every day, every single day in this country, whether you think their victimhood complex is real or not, and they don't feel like a part of this country. And you can sit and blame them all you want, but this campus is a great example right here. When we have people on this campus who are claiming that it is all sunshine and rainbows and they have the administration on their side, and then the reality is that biased incidents reports and hate crimes have gone up.
Yeah, so...
And people have been spit on, and people have been threatened, and people have been told to go home to their country even though they were born in fucking New Jersey.
Yeah.
So I just want to understand, where's the, do I have to get lynched? Like, does somebody have to, like, murder me? Like, does somebody have to, like, kill me?
Okay,
Does somebody have to physically harass me? What will it take for it to be hate speech? And when do I actually become a victim? When I'm dead?
Okay. All right, great question. Great question. That's great. Yeah. All right, it's a great question. So first off, the Supreme Court has ruled that hate speech doesn't exist, in that you can do basically, you can say whatever you want, short of yelling fire in a crowded theater or calling for direct violence to someone. So right now, you can say anything to me. You can literally say anything to me. I'm sure you're thinking of a couple things. And you can say whatever you want to me, and guess what? I'll survive. And that's the price that you have to pay to live in a free society. So let me kick it back to you for a second. So first off, there was a little miscommunication in the way you presented that, which is, racism exists. I don't think racism doesn't exist. Of course, there are bigoted people. There are people who are misogynist, that may not like you because you're a woman. There are people that don't like gay people, so they won't like me. There are people that are truly prejudiced against black people in every other situation. The idea that the government can come in and manage and fix all of those things is crazy. And we live in a society that has done more to free more people than any other society truly in the history of the world. But I will kick it back to you for a second. So tell me about your oppression. I mean, tell me about what you're dealing with and how the government can fix it. It doesn't mean that bad people don't exist, but tell me about your oppression. Maybe we can work through something.
It's my favorite song.
Yeah. Well, that one was legit. It was your mom? Nice. All right. I mean, tell me about your oppression.
So I have no reason to sit and talk about my own oppression, because that's just like mental energy.
Well,
that,
I mean,
like, unless I'm going to be paid to talk about my...
Ladies. Ladies, I'll gladly take a question from you. Have we established that already? Okay, so far we have some repetitive droning statements, and then when I kick it back to someone to ask about their oppression, she wants to be paid for it. You know what, let me see what I got here.
Yeah, why don't you PayPal me?
Yeah, well, let me see what I can do here.
Venmo me.
Let's see what I got here. All right. 20 bucks. I got 20 bucks. I will pay you. Shh. Okay, so what would you prefer? What would you prefer, that the government... Okay, guys, I get it. I don't want people to say bad things either. Ugh, all right. I wish I could get off to the sound of my own voice. Wouldn't that be awesome?
A single post with a one-word caption and 4 photos changed everything.
I was accused of racism, cultural appropriation. I didn't mean any harm or racist intent.
That's Keziah Dom, and the dress she wore is called a chai pao. It is commonly worn in China. In response to the photos, Twitter user Jeremy Lamb tweeted this, quote, "My culture is not your bleeping prom dress," whatever that means, but his tweet received almost 180,000 likes. Ironically, the chai pao isn't actually from China originally. It was appropriated from a neighboring non-Chinese culture, but whatever, details don't matter in 2018. Kathy Aru is founding publisher of Catalina Magazine, and she is, of course, our liberal Sherpa, guiding us through the labyrinth of this modern world. So, Kathy, it's great to see you. Thank you for coming on.
Hi.
This raises, look, I get it. She unintentionally, but still appropriated a cultural talisman from a culture that's not hers. But does this go both ways? Does this mean that, Chinese people are wearing neckties, which is a Western invention? Are they committing cultural appropriation by doing that?
Well, what she did is almost like an exploitation of a culture. She's exploiting it. It's appropriation because she is taking advantage of a culture she doesn't really know much about. I don't think a businessman, a Chinese businessman, doesn't understand the Western culture. He understands what the tie is. He understands what the suit is. But she had no idea what this dress meant and what it's about, and she didn't even appreciate it. One of her comments was, "It's just a effing dress." I mean, this is a culture. She borrowed a culture, and she cared so little to appreciate it. So definitely wrong.
So if she had loved the dress more, would it have been better?
She loved the dress. She knew so little about the background. She said she loved it because it would give her attention. She loved the attention it would give her. And then she took those pictures in these poses that were, I think she thought were Asian poses, but they were actually Vape Nation and promoting some YouTuber that is controversial in itself. And she's praying to Papa John's Pizza. That's what that pose is. So that wasn't a pose that is appreciating a culture. That's a pose mocking a culture and promoting a YouTuber.
The Papa John's culture?
It's a YouTube. Well, no, she's taking.
But what about? This is not the only form of cultural appropriation from China. People use chopsticks. They eat Chinese food. College students have Chinese characters whose meaning they don't know tattooed on their bodies. Are all of those out of bounds now too? Well,
they say appropriation is and appreciation is a fine line, and it seems like she was. Well, apparently she didn't understand that she maybe is not a racist, but what she did was a form of racism.
So what you're saying is that white people ought to stick just to white culture and celebrate white culture?
No, what I'm saying.
Oh, you're not saying that. So what are you saying? I'm getting confused because I thought you're saying that white people should stay in their lane and just stick with white culture and celebrate it, their own culture, right? Is that what you're saying?
She clearly used this for personal gain. She wanted the attention. She was in the middle of all those photos. She wanted it for personal gain. She put it on Twitter, on Facebook. It was for attention. It wasn't like eating Chinese food and enjoying the deliciousness of Chinese food.
People actually wear dresses for attention. That's sort of what they are. So I wonder, though, what about people from other cultures, from Asian cultures, who dye their hair blonde but don't fully understand the culture of blondness? Is that cultural appropriation?
I think they understand and they're appreciating it. It's not a majority culture taking advantage of a minority culture. It's not someone's dipping into a culture and stealing an element for personal gain.
White Americans are a tiny percentage of global culture, of course. They did invent the airplanes.
This happened in Utah. So
of course it did, but this is a global phenomenon. So let me ask you, is there any
majority culture? She did it here. To mock people from elsewhere.
I don't know if she was mocking. So this does raise an interesting question, though, about assimilation. So assimilation, which we've thought for hundreds of years was a good thing, is the process of cultural appropriation. I come in and I take parts of your culture and make them my own. I adopt your culture. Well, we thought that was good, but now the idea is that everyone stays in their own culture and then, of course, by definition, hates every other culture.
There's assimilation and there's appropriation, and she didn't do this to assimilate, to get to know a culture. She did it to just enjoy it for an evening, get as much fame and publicity out of it as she could on Twitter and Facebook and social media, and just step right out. So how convenient.
But let me ask you this. When someone from Dubai flies on an airplane, which was, of course, invented by the Wright brothers at Kitty Hawk, Why isn't that an even more effect? And just gets on the plane and has a glass of champagne and doesn't think about the contribution of these Ohio brothers to flight. That's not cultural appropriation?
Perhaps they are, but I don't think that they're getting anything. They're not hurting anyone, and they're not offending anyone by doing so. And when she put on that dress, she hurt and offended others, and that's what happened.
She really hurt them.
Maybe
she should go to prison.
Another one.